everyone, Alexandra Rosalind here and welcome back to my channel. So recently I had quite a few YouTube activities that I was participating in and I need to wrap those up. I will be covering 3 different wrap-ups in one video to save a little bit of time. I will be covering what I read in the month of July, my Nanowrimo wrap-up, and my Booktubeathon wrap-up. Let's start with my Booktubeathon wrap-up because those are the only books that I remember to get out. For the Booktubeathon, we were supposed to have read 7 books. I read 4. And you know the weird thing is, it's not even because I ran out of time. It's because of my damn TBR list. No matter what, if it's on a TBR list, I just mentally want to rebel and not do the list. It's so weird. The first book that I read was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. And I have to be honest, guys, this is one of the better books that I've ever read. Ever. It was so weird and wonderful and strange. It was beautiful and touching and emotional. It was reminiscent of The Ocean at the End of the Lane. It was reminiscent of Karen Russell's St. Lucie Homes for Girls. It was reminiscent of darker versions of Chocolat. The book itself is supposed to be about Ava Lavender, but really it's more of a family history with Ava Lavender as kind of the last section. This book is about a girl named Ava Lavender and essentially her entire family, and they all have very tragic things happen to them in the name of love. I have heard that this is a young adult romance, or not romance, but it's a young adult book, but I don't see it. I almost see this being as more of like an adult magical realism novel. I felt personally like this book would be more appreciated by young adults. Wait, young adult, young adult. Damn it, not teenagers. I mean, I feel like teenagers would like this. I can actually think of a couple off the top of my head from the library that I actually want to recommend this book to. I feel like the themes in here are tragic. They're more adult themes than young adult themes. And I don't really know how to explain it. If you read the book, you totally get my drift. You totally get what I'm saying. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was this one, and this is The Green Glass House, and this is by Kate Milford. Oh, I forgot to say who the other one. This is by Leslie Walton. So I remember thinking at the time, this is a mistake reading this because this is about 400 pages. What have I done? It doesn't matter anyways because I didn't read any of the books on my TBR. This, I have to say, was one of the best middle grade books I've ever read in my entire life. If you're looking for a good middle grade book, 100%, I could not recommend this book more to you. I really feel like everybody needs to read this just because it had so many interesting characters, so many interesting plot twists, so many different literary devices that were used in here. I thought the whole thing was really, really well done. I thought Kate did just a phenomenal job. And here's the beautiful thing. This is not a spoiler or anything. The main character in here is a boy named Milo, and I believe he's Chinese. And actually, the author is adopting a child from China. That's what it says in the back of the book. And she's dedicating this book to her future child. When I read that, let me tell you, I bawled like a baby. I don't know what was going on with me that day. I just thought that was so beautiful that she wrote this novel for her adopted child that she was about to adopt in the future. The book is about a little boy named Milo. He lives with his parents in something called a smuggler's inn, which is this place here, the Green Glass House. It's Christmas time. They're not expecting a lot of smugglers, and then all of a sudden all of the smugglers come in all at once and they all seem to be connected. And Milo and his little friend decide to try to figure out what exactly is going on and how all these people are connected. And it is wonderful. The plot twist at the end really was great. I kind of guessed it right before the end. I would say like a third of the way in. I was kind of getting certain vibes, but when I got it, I still dropped the book and freaked out and started screaming, I knew it! 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read still has my bookmark in it, and that is The Magician's Elephant, and this is by Kate DeCamillo. This book in particular is about an orphan named Peter Augustus who is looking for his sister. He goes over to a fortune teller's tent one day and asks if his sister lives, and if she does, how can you find her? And she says yes, and an elephant will lead you to her. Kate DeCamillo, as we all know, is a brilliant author and very, very famous. She's won several awards. I will say that this was not my favorite of the novels that she has personally written, and when I went on to Goodreads to look at the reviews, it seemed that was the general consensus. I would say that there were parts of this book that dragged a little teeny bit. The overall arching storyline was really whimsical and beautiful, and I love the happy happy ending at the end. It was still good. I'm glad that I read it. The next book that I read was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and this is by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this book was phenomenal. Beautiful, beautiful book. I knew that it was going to be an LGBTQ book going into this, but I wasn't expecting it to be I didn't think that that was going to be a prominent theme, and I was really happy that it was a prominent theme. I'm glad that this was not advertised as an LGBTQ novel, but just a romance, very good literature novel, because personally, I feel like we need to include all of the categories of love in the same category, because it's all love. It was about a girl named Evelyn Hugo, who's an actress, and she has to really fight to become an actress. She is a brilliant, brilliant, sassy woman who is beautiful, and it's about her love life. I would say that it's more, though, than a romance. I really liked it. I highly recommend it to everybody. Definitely going to be one of the best books of the year for me, by far. That is all of the stuff that I read for the Booktubeathon. Let's go ahead and do everything that I read in the month of July. Okay, so for the month of July, I read 5.5 books. The first one is one that I've already talked about, and it was for the Booktubeathon, which started the 31st of July, and that was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. Okay, so before that book, I read Winter House by Ben Gutterson. This was such a charming little book. I really, really liked it a lot. This is about an orphan named Elizabeth, and she is living with her aunt and uncle who want nothing to do with her, which, I mean, like, they don't really sound like delightful people, and I wouldn't want to be friends with them, so whatever on them. They sent her off to this place called Winter House, and she stays there for Christmas. While she's at Winter House, she meets a really, really cool friend, and they explore the hotel together. There are some unsavory characters. There's a little bit of a mystery that she has to solve. The ending was a little bit cheesy, but to be honest, I love cheesy endings, especially in middle grade, so this was such a great read. The next ones are all connected, and I blame Rachel Marie. The next one that I read was Ember in the Ashes. Usually when I'm that captivated, I fly through the books, and I'm so anxious to figure out what's going on that by the time I'm done binging the series, I have no idea what I just read. And even now, what even is this book about? This book is about a girl, and I don't know how to pronounce her name. This book is about a girl named Laia. Her brother in the very beginning is actually taken by the government to be held in jail. And she decides to go and try to work for the enemy so that she can get information to break him out. She meets a guy named Elias, who is training to be an assassin at the school where she is currently trying to get information, and just sort of like his destiny. Really, really, really great book. I loved it. This whole book was just a 5-star for me. I don't know really a lot of people who don't like this series. It's really good. Next, I read A Torch Against the Night, and I was so excited because they brought in Helen's perspective for a lot of it. I'm not going to tell you what this is about because it's going to spoil a lot of the other book, but I will say that this was a 4 out of 5 star, and it was really, really good. For this one, I am only actually 100 pages in. This is A Reaper at the Gates, and this is the 3rd book in this series. I was so excited to continue on that I just grabbed it, even though it is a hard copy, which means I'm gonna have to order those 2 in a hard copy because I like all my books to match. I won't go into this book, but I will say the reason I kind of abandoned it is because I'm wondering if anybody else feels the same way about the series. The series is phenomenal, but it is a lot of very sad content all of the time. There's tons of people in these series that get tortured, raped, brokenheartedness, unrequited love, war, death, torture, mutilation, manipulation, not a lot of comic relief, not a lot of light and fluffy moments, and I can take that for a book, but after a while, like if that's all I'm reading, I almost get like exhausted. I'm still as in love with this series as I was beforehand, but Sabbath to Here goes very heavy in torture, very heavy in a war. After 2 full books and then this one, and there was just like, there's not, for me, I will say there's not enough of a love story in them. I mean, you can include moments where there's like things are not quite as tense. I would say that this is probably going to end up being no less than a 4-star read. I mean, I just can't see her writing being anything less than like phenomenal A+ material, you know what I mean? But I just needed a break. So that is what I read during the month of July. Now for the very last part of this, which is my Camp Nanowrimo wrap up. For the month of July, I decided that I wanted to try to write 30,000 words during the month of July, and I actually ended up writing about 32,000 words, or was it 35? And I wanted to get it done before my birthday, so I think I finished around the 27th, and if I can find a clip, I will insert it. So, I don't know if you can see, but that little number there, let me see if I can zoom in, is 35,279. So I have gone over the count by a bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and validate my project now. And what's interesting is they actually, I must have miscounted because they said that I actually have 300, or maybe they round up, I'm not sure. But we're all validated and I have won. So exciting. Now I can kind of collect some of the winter goodies. I loved Camp Nanowrimo. I had so much fun. I wasn't involved as much with the messaging as I was before. But if you've never done a Nanowrimo, I highly recommend one. The next one that's coming up is in November, and that is the novel. And I am shooting for all of my plot stuff to be done before November so that I can actually try to write a full out novel this November, and I'm very, very excited about that. Well, that is it for my July wrap up. Until next time, keep your head in the clouds and your heart in a book, and I will talk to you later. Bye.